So the sister basically emails in and mentions that she has been experiencing some jinn activity at night in the early hours of the morning when she is trying to sleep. She mentions that there is a figure that comes and it has sex with her, it sexually assaults her, it rapes her. And she mentions that this is occurring on a daily basis. Every day she comes and gets raped by this figure. Now, some people, may be familiar with this kind of thing, but some may be familiar on a bit of a lesser scale. There's something that people call sleep paralysis, which is when you're sleeping at night and you kind of, you can't move, you can't control anything or whatever have you. That's usually when a jinn comes and it kind of, it messes with you at night. And that's something that a lot of people have experienced, probably at least at one point in their life. Some people, they experience it more commonly than others, and for some people it's quite a consistent problem and reoccurring problem that happens. Now, this is that kind of a problem, okay? In cases that are a bit more serious, the person might actually be physically assaulted by being like beaten or hit by this particular spirit, by this evil jinn, this evil shaitan, this demon that comes to them at night. And in also an extreme and serious case, as the sisters, there are cases where there are women that actually have been raped by such a spirit, such a demon. And this is something that we're starting to see is becoming a common phenomenon, as there is even a video that was recently put online about a woman who explains that she's actually, engaging in sexual activity with a ghost. Now, of course, we don't have any textual evidence to substantiate the claim of ghosts being present, but the way that we would interpret such an incident based on the textual evidences we have is that is a jinn that comes and actually has sexual intercourse with this woman. And this is something that we've heard about, even the kuffar have experienced it, and we're starting to get more common reports from sisters who are educated with regards to the world of the jinn, and they know there's a jinn that's trying to rape me. And even there have been cases where brothers have been assaulted physically, sometimes it can also be sexually by such a filthy spirit, such a demon during their sleep. Now, she mentions this is becoming an increasingly common problem. She tried to speak to her mother about it, but her mother kind of just blew her off and passed it over and just said that basically she's just kind of experiencing this and feeling like this because she just wants to have sex. So that's kind of just like her mind playing games on her, making her think, because she's just getting desperate, which is obviously not the case for her. She's adamant that that's not the case. She's actually feeling this, and she wakes up in the morning. There have been cases where people actually find discharge between their legs, the kind of discharge that occurs when a person has engaged in sexual intercourse. Now, generally speaking, that could just be that you had a wet dream, but if you are actually experiencing the feeling of being raped, you're actually feeling the pain, you're actually feeling the physical feeling that comes along with it. Sometimes that can happen in a dream, and then you wake up with the physical bruising and the physical kind of thing. Or it might not be a dream, it could actually be that you actually are experiencing it while you're awake, but you're in a state of almost sleep paralysis where you can't do anything, or you feel kind of weak, and you're just basically being overpowered. And it's basically doing that with you. Now, she mentioned that, she started to pray, and when she started to pray, it got a bit better in the sense that she can't now see the figure raping her, but she still feels the figure raping her. And every day she still has to do this ghusl and cleaning herself and having to take her out of this major ritual impurity by doing the ghusl, which is the bath of purity, to uplift yourself from major ritual impurity. She wants to now know how this filthy act could come to an end. She wants to know how this can be stopped. Now, before I made this video, bearing in mind, I've personally heard other incidences. I used to know a person who had a girlfriend. He came to me and he told me that his girlfriend is experiencing a similar thing where she feels that something is touching her. She might just be sitting in her house at home, and she feels that something is touching her in her intimate regions. And of course, having a girlfriend is haram, but something is touching her in her intimate regions and causing her to reach an orgasmic state, basically. And this is something that we've heard. Now, inshallah ta'ala, I just want to mention to you guys some points of how you can overcome this, sleep paralysis, these night attacks, or being raped by a shaitan at night. There's number one, general advice, and you can find this all in the article that I've linked from Ustad Muhammad Tim Humble below. The general advice is to have a good ruqya program. If you go onto the article, you click it, he will give you a program of a week, of a month, and a year. That which you should be doing, okay? Inshallah ta'ala. But then he mentioned there are some specific issues. He mentions 8 tips. I'm going to mention each of them to you. And if you go to the article, you can click on each one and you can find more information for each one of these 8. But I'll just go through it quickly now. The first thing is that you must remove from your house anything that attracts the shaitan. So what attracts shaitan? If sins are happening in your house, music is being played in your house, pictures are put in your house, because the angels, they don't come. The only pictures that are an exception is that which is necessity. For example, pictures that might be in a passport, or things that are necessity. TV attracts shaitan. TV's got music, filthy things being shown. It is a thing that attracts shaitan. And just generally other sins. If you are living in shared accommodation, then at least try from your own room to remove. The third thing is that you read the adhkar and the supplications and the du'as that are specific to overcoming an enemy. Okay? There is that stuff specific to overcoming an enemy, inshallah ta'ala. So you read this before sleeping, or suddenly if you wake up at night, you're feeling scared, or if you feel the attack or the attack is taking place, then you read this. So you should have this memorized, because a lot of the times people, they're like, I feel something on me and it won't get off. So read this, the thing will leave straight away, inshallah ta'ala. If you do these things, wallahi, it's not coming near you. My sister who sent me an email, it's not coming near you. You will be bi'idhnillah al-kareem protected, inshallah ta'ala, with Allah's permission. But you have to be consistent upon it. Okay? Do this regularly. The fourth thing is take a ruqya bath. What is a ruqya bath? We all have baths before we go to sleep. We have showers. If not, then you might just be an unhygienic person, which you need to correct, unless you're having a shower in the morning. But have one before you sleep. Change it so you're having a bath before you sleep, and make it a ruqya bath, inshallah ta'ala. The fifth thing is to use ruqya oil before going to sleep. The sixth thing is that you wake up for the night prayer. You wake up for the night prayer, for the tahajjud prayer. The reason why this is good is because the shaitan will see that the way that you're responding to these attacks is by actually worshipping Allah more. So remember, the shaitan, the reason he comes to you is because ultimately he wants to take you away from Allah. He wants to cause you to go into all these sins and this, that and whatnot, and then just go further away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When he realizes, or when it realizes that you are actually responding by increasing in your servitude, in your slavery, in your submission, in your ibadah to Allah, it will then start to back off, because it will realize, right, it's not working for me. This is why the Prophet ﷺ said to Umar ibn Khattab radiyallahu anhu, the great noble companion, he said, Umar, when you walk on one side of the street, shaitan walks on the other side of the street. The reason for that is because that when the shaitan would come to Umar, he would try to whisper to Umar to do evil. And then when Umar would hear that, he would do the opposite, but double in terms of good. And the eighth thing is, this is what Ustad Tim Humble mentions. He mentions, if it's possible to get someone to sleep in the same room with you, or to sleep in that room with you, then it would help. He said, he said it may help, sorry. He said, I've not yet seen any confirmed evidence of this. And it doesn't seem to have any effect on the dreams, meaning you might be sleeping with somebody, you still might be experiencing these dreams. He says, but it appears to me that people who report physical assault whilst being awake are most likely people who sleep alone. So it's worth mentioning here without giving too much importance to this. So he says that, from his experience, he noticed that this doesn't really happen too much to people who sleep with someone else in a room, in terms of the rape or the physical assault. But he mentions that it's something that you should try and just see. He says, I've given various variations on this advice to a number of people, and a significant number of them reported reduction in attacks, with some reportings that the attacks stopped completely, with all praise being to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So go to that article below, inshallah ta'ala. Please take heed of my advice. Fear Allah before you fear the shaitan. Wallahi, don't fear the shaitan. Fear Allah Azza wa Jal. Stop not because I told you that you might get possessed, but because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is more worthy and befitting of you fulfilling His rights than being scared of the demons. You don't have no fear of the demons if you are obeying and worshipping Allah in the first place. Your iman will be strong, your reliance will be upon Allah, nothing can mess with you. But no doubt if you sin and you disobey and you have these filthy relations, you're asking for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to remove that protection from you, and you're asking for trouble for yourself. So with